All right, week two of the weekly live workshop inside the Shoulder Pain Solutions Vault. So today we're going to be talking about the three main types or the three main buckets of shoulder pain and how they should be treated differently. So let me see if I can share my screen again and we'll kind of just review this Google Doc training together. So come on, computer, work with me here. Okay. I think we should be good now. So the three main types of shoulder pain, why your shoulder pain isn't random, how to actually fix it. So if you're lifting weights, you're dealing with shoulder pain, maybe you've tried stretching, you've tried some, random rotator cuff exercises or some random shoulder blade muscle, scapular strengthening exercises. You've tried modifying or, maybe just pushing through. Most people are just kind of guessing at what's wrong, right? But most shoulder pain is going to fall into these three main buckets. So if you don't understand which one you fall into, you're probably just going to keep spinning your wheels. So here's a image that I really like that kind of explains the three categories. So category number one is the stiff shoulder. All right, you're lacking mobility, right? You have some tightness, you have some restrictions that are limiting your motion. Category number two is the unstable shoulder. This is the stability piece that you're missing, right? And then number three is the weak and painful shoulder. Now, just a little, caveat. This is a very, very kind of oversimplified um, explanation of shoulder pain, right? This is just kind of categorizing all the different potential problems that could be going wrong, right? Mobility issues, stability issues, sensitivity issues, essentially, is what we're looking at. So again, this is oversimplified, but maybe think about which bucket do you feel like you fall into, because each one kind of requires a different approach, right? Um, so the other little kind of caveat that I want to like just put in here too is like it could be that you have a combination of both, right? Like for example, whenever we're dealing with tightness or stiffness, we always should ask the question, why are we stiff or tight in the first place? A lot of times, tightness or stiffness in the body is just a manifestation of kind of like your nervous system feeling like it lacks relative strength or stability. And so it'll tighten up the muscles in a region of your body because it wants to feel safe, if that makes sense. Right. And so sometimes we might feel like we have a tight shoulder, but really it's just the nervous system trying to kind of like protect because we actually have an unstable shoulder. Okay. So just a little caveat there. So um just something to think about. So what does the stiff shoulder actually look like? Limited overhead mobility, right? Tightness in your lats, in your pecs, tightness in your thoracic spine, your mid back. If you have to arch from your low back to be able to get your arms all the way overhead, that's a big sign that you probably got some thoracic spine or mid back uh, issues, and probably some tightness in the lats and the pecs. So this is a mobility issue, right? Inside the community here, we've got some mobility screens, right? The shoulder self assessment course will show you how to do all of these mobility screens. But some major common contributors: tight pec minor, tight lats, stiff thoracic spine. This is a huge one for shoulder issues. Most of us are either sitting in our car like this all day long, or sitting at a desk all day long, or looking down at our phone. So for long periods throughout the day, we are kind of hunched over, and our spine, especially our mid back area, doesn't get enough extension or rotation throughout the day. Our spines crave movement. If this region of the body is not moving well like it should, that's going to then have kind of a ripple effect on how the shoulder blades are able to move, and then a downward trickle towards how the shoulder actually moves and feels. So um what most people do wrong, just try and like train through it or force range of motion under load. That's definitely asking for problems. So don't do that. Um, so actually do the assessments, right? Do you actually have tightness or does it just feel tight, right? Test your mobility, test your flexibility. And then if you find that you have a restriction, you'll know exactly what you need to work on. Um, Category number two, the unstable shoulder, right? The stability piece. The shoulder is in a constant kind of back and forth give and take of mobility and stability. Inherently, it's the most mobile joint of the body. And so, because it is so mobile, it is sacrificing stability. So, some people, myself included, we have some maybe flexibility or mobility issues that we can work on, but most people also uh, just need to work on more shoulder stability. Um, so if your shoulder feels like if you have clicking, popping, if it feels like, you've got some shifting going on, if it feels weak or shaky during lifts, poor control at the top or bottom of movements, right? Um, just lack of control, right? That is the unstable shoulder. So this really comes down to the shoulder blade. Again, kind of going back to what I was saying before. Um, the shoulder blade is the main driver of all of this. Um, so sometimes the analogy that's given for the rotator cuff is that the rotator cuff is kind of like what centers the golf ball on the tee. Um, but really, the shoulder blade should be our first go to. That should be our first thought. So I don't even like I don't even really screen for this in the clinic. So when I'm, working in the physical therapy clinic, I don't even hardly ever screen for weakness here because I know that 99.99% of people just need to work more on this. The serratus anterior and the lower traps are, in my opinion, chronically weak in almost every single person. um, they don't get targeted enough. They don't get isolated. They don't get trained enough. Okay. So if you're not doing some targeted serratus anterior strengthening or some lower targeted isolated lower trapezius strengthening, I'm calling you to repentance because that is going to make a huge difference in how your shoulder feels, and how your lifts feel. So what most people do wrong, they just think they just need to stretch more, right? Um, so that's just going to make an unstable shoulder worse, right? That feeling of tightness may just be your nervous system trying to feel like it, is going into protective mode. Um, so more scapular work. Everybody needs to do this. More stability work. The weak and painful shoulder could be because you have skipped this part. You've skipped the stability part, and now you've sensitized your shoulder. You've pissed it off. It's all flared up. And now you're stuck in kind of like a recurrent pain cycle, right? Now you're dealing with a sensitivity issue because you have heightened the sensitivity of the nerves in that region of your body. Um, so what does this look like? Obviously, pain, right? Strength loss due to pain. Pain will inhibit muscles, right? So, um, anyways, uh, this is likely a programming issue. Um, you'll hear me talk a lot about load versus capacity. Our body is very capable of healing and getting stronger, adapting, building more tissue capacity. Our bodies are very resilient, but we have to build up in an incremental fashion, right? I'm sure maybe some of you, hopefully, have heard of the term graded exposure. Um, so most people run into issues with training when they have gone too fast, too much, too soon, right? You increased weight too quickly. Um, you put too much weight on the bar. You increased reps or sets too quickly. Or, all right, or you're not respecting the other side of the equation. You're disrespecting the recovery piece, right? We want to stimulate those tissues, but we want to make sure that we're actually healing and recovering, all that good stuff. Um, so yeah, um, programming issues, doing too much too soon, lack of structured progressive overload, right? And this is the picture I should have shown like 5 minutes ago. Load versus capacity. Um, you've got an imbalanced equation here. So what most people do wrong is they kind of either completely stop training or they just keep pushing through the pain. That's going to like make sure that you just never fix the problem. So we don't want to stop training, right? We want to find modifications, alternatives, change your tempo, change your range of motion, change, your intensity, things like this. There's always things that we can do to work around pain. Um, but we never want to just keep pushing through, right? So uh, smart programming is key. Structured progressive overload, load management, and making sure that you're actually resting and recovering. So most people, like I was saying at the very beginning, most people don't fall into just one of these buckets. Usually there's a mix, right? Maybe you have some stiffness and some instability. Maybe you have some instability, which is causing some sensitivity and weakness, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right. So that's why just random drills, mobility drills, random exercises that you save on YouTube or Instagram, and then you even forget to do them later. That's not going to fix your problem, right? So you need to know your specific limiting factors. You have to actually go through the assessment. Okay. Um, Let me see if maybe I can actually, hopefully, still sharing screen. But guys, this self assessment, right? This is here for you. This is basically everything that I would do if you came and saw me in the clinic. So it's a step by step walkthrough of how to essentially assess your shoulder like a physical therapist, so that you know, okay, do I have a flexibility issue? Do I have a mobility issue, stability issue? Um, I guess this doesn't talk about programming issues specifically, but maybe that will be another course in here that we need to put together. So guessing doesn't work, right? Assess, don't guess. Um, so make sure you're identifying what you actually need instead of just, you know, guessing, following some random exercise on Instagram or TikTok or whatnot. So a good shoulder assessment is going to show you exactly where you're lacking mobility, where you have some relative stability or strength issues, and it'll give you a clear roadmap, so that you're not just continuing to spin your wheels. So no more random exercises, right? Make sure you do the right assessments so that you can have a personalized roadmap and find the appropriate exercise progressions for your shoulder. Okay. Um, so that's it, guys. These are probably gonna be quick until we actually get people here in the group. This is a brand new group. And I don't imagine people will be hopping on the call anytime soon, but we'll keep trying to funnel people here and hopefully we can make this a cool place. And when people actually start showing up to the calls, we can do some Q&A, maybe do some, hot seats or whatever, where, we do a self-assessment together. I answer any questions and, try and point you in the right direction. So that's it for this one, guys. Hope to see you next week. Next week, I believe we will be talking about the pec minor. So if you see this, and it's before next week. That's what we'll be talking about. So that's it for today, and hope you have a great rest of your night. We will talk to you soon.